Hi! Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me already, my name is Jamila, aka Earthling Era, and I am just a girl from Jersey who has been living in Mexico for the past 3 years. I currently live in Oaxaca, Mexico, where I have lived for the past year, a little over a year, and I do it all by running my business, Being Earthlings, from this cute little iPad here. So this is my entire world right here on this iPad. And I'm going through a really interesting phase with my work right now, and I just wanted to share this journey with you. So while most of my content is around my travels and around some of the work I do in inclusion and wellness and yoga, I also wanted to share what it's like to be on this journey, what it's like to be an entrepreneur, and how I've kind of allowed it to help me thrive these past 4 years of having this company and be able to live the kind of lifestyle that I've been so lucky enough to live. Sometimes you're so in it and you're so in the thick of it, and it's easy to take a lot of it for granted, especially as Miley Cyrus has said, there's always going to be another mountain. I'm always going to want to make it move. Like, I feel like I'm always looking forward and trying to continue moving forward. And sometimes it's really important and helpful to look back and just see everything that I've created and how far I've come. So not only do I want to share what I've learned through that process with you, but I also want to just share where I am in the present moment with you and some of the challenges and opportunities that I feel are coming up for me. It's interesting because right now I feel like I'm back in the place I was when I first started my business 4 years ago. I was living in Philadelphia. I had just graduated from my grad program. I have an MPA, a Master's in Public Administration. I studied international development and public nonprofit management. I always knew that I wanted travel to be a big part of my life, and I always knew that I wanted to have social impact, that I wanted to do something good in the social impact space. Unfortunately, it was 2020 when I graduated my grad program, so it was COVID times, and so it was really hard to find a job at that time. I ended up graduating and moving in with my sister for a few months. She had a roommate at the time. There was not a lot of space, but I did not have any income, and she was kind enough to give me a space to get onto my feet. And that's also just a reminder to me, like, I don't want to have to sleep on my sister's couch, like, ever again. But it's nice knowing that I'm blessed enough to have those kinds of safety nets if anything were to happen with me and my business. So it's COVID times, I'm sleeping on my sister's couch, and I'm still thinking, I'm actually still in the mindset, like everyone else in my grad program at the time, that I'm applying, I want this like 9-to-5 job. I'm gonna be living in New York or DC because that's where all the international development people live. That, you know, like I had interned at the World Bank at one point, so I'm thinking maybe I'll still try to land a job full-time with the World Bank, maybe with the UN. So I'm like very much thinking about the path that all of my peers have gone on, or what's kind of expected of me to go on at the time. But what a, you know, I don't want to say that it was a blessing. That time was like really scary and really hard for so many people. But for me, it forced me to not go the traditional path, which actually did not even really align with my spirit. It just was what I thought was the next step for me. So what ended up happening was I was able to not get full-time jobs, but I was able to get kind of like contractual work. I was supporting a friend of mine with her small organization that she ran solely by herself. So I was like one of her only employees. I was doing like fundraising and grant writing for her, and like positioning, mission statement, visioning, all of that stuff, strategy stuff. I had landed a contract with an education technology company. So for them, this was really exciting, and this was kind of the beginning of me working in inclusion, because I did not see myself working in inclusion, but they had a really hard time with their marketing and trying to market to broader audiences and have their materials actually represent children of all different shapes and sizes and abilities and whatnot. And they didn't know how to like do that naturally. So they needed my eyes. I really just lent my eyes to this organization, my worldview, my perspective of just like humanity. And so that was a really great gig. I completely developed their photo library, all of the images that they use for their marketing, and they were going through a strategic rebranding, and I supported in giving all of the images and materials for what that should look like. So that was really fun. I was also able to land another contract with a international development organization based in Mexico. So I was doing a lot of writing, a lot of grant writing for them, and kind of just like general kind of assistance stuff, helping with like slide deck. So with those contracts, I was finally able to move into my own space in Philly. So I got my first solo apartment ever.
I just got my new place. I've been here for a month already. I can't believe it. And I've noticed patterns of green and pink, which to me is like growth and love. That's how I know I'm aligned. That's how I know I'm aligned in my life and aligned with the universe, is when I start noticing little details, patterns is, that's how you know that there is alignment. It's a journey. Like, I feel vibrationally that I can be very high at times and then very low at other times, because the ego, it's like you never stamp it out. I mean, I don't think so. You never stamp it out. It is something you have to keep looking at and saying, no, not right now. Not ever. Like, sit down. It's about connecting to something greater than you. It's about connecting to you. That something greater than you, it's you. It's in you.
It was so cute. It was like all the other apartments were like these modern, newly furnished, like newly renovated apartments, but I got one that was the classic, and it was actually cheaper because it hadn't been remodeled, but I actually loved it that way. I still had the wood floors and the crown molding, and I really loved that space. That's also where I got my dog, Clover. So that was 1 year I was living in Philadelphia. And once I had these contracts and I had my apartment, I was kind of like, I have a business, or like, I might as well have a business, you know? And so I started my LLC in that time. I built out my website. I just looked at what I was already doing and established those as my services, as my offerings. And I really thrived off of having long-term contracts and growing with some of those specific organizations I was already working with. And different gigs would come up, you know, like last year I edited a book that my professor had been working on. It was a professor from my master's program. And I edited the manuscript for his book, which ended up being the fastest book to become a national bestseller in India. So really proud of that one. That was so fun for me, especially since it actually had to do with like yogic philosophy and how we can use what like is understood in India for centuries to help define leadership and global leadership today. So that was one of my favorite things to work on. That was so much fun. So once I realized I had this business, like not realized, since I created it and built it and was like literally sustaining myself off of it, and it was all virtual through the time I had a laptop, I said I can live anywhere. I could live anywhere I want to live in the world right now. And so I made the plans to move to Mexico. I got a storage unit. I put a lot of my stuff in storage. I moved to Playa del Carmen. I knew I could go anywhere in the world, really. I chose Mexico just because it felt like a small step. I knew a little bit of Spanish. I'd studied in school. I studied Spanish all the way until grad school. And it wasn't too far, you know, same time zone, more or less. So, and I was just like looking, where are Black where are Black expats going? That's literally what I Googled, and Playa del Carmen was one of the first places to come up. And so I decided that's where I would go. I booked 2 Airbnbs, one for 1 month, one for the next month, which I don't really recommend because it's really expensive, but I do feel like it was necessary for me at that time to just like land somewhere I felt safe in for 2 months. And from there, I just found my own accommodations through word of mouth or through like more local networks. And 2 years later, I was still living in Playa del Carmen. My plan had been maybe a year and then I would go off somewhere else or who knows, but that place started to feel like home for me.
Cheers.
And that's why even once I moved to Oaxaca, where I'm coming at you from now, I kept my apartment in Playa del Carmen, and it is now CASA SIRENA, your home away from home. CASA SIRENA is my old apartment in Playa del Carmen that I rent out. And so here I am now, and the situation I'm in now and why it feels like when I was just starting is because the landscape is changing so drastically. I work in inclusion, which is an area that's taking a major hit right now, and I work as a grant writer for a lot of organizations that work in the international development space. Some of these new government policies, such as the complete eradication of US aid, has put these organizations in such strenuous positions. That leaves me in a new place now where I also have to reassess what I offer, who I offer it to, and also what feels good to me. I don't want to do work that doesn't make me happy. I want to do work that feels so aligned and that actually makes me excited to work on. That's where I am now. I'm forced to be, I'm blessed. I'm blessed and forced to be in a position where I get to just reimagine what being Earthlings is. So stay tuned in future videos for like how this journey is going. It's taking a lot of self-trust, it's taking a lot of faith, and it also helps so much that I have established a practice that grounds me and a way of life that makes me feel at ease and that makes me feel so full and resourced and abundant that I'm here to play the game.